So if you've ever been involved in a classic workplace showdown, I think we have either seen this happen or have been involved directly in one. I know that I've been involved in many, and I feel like I'm involved in many on a regular basis. And I'm currently living in a showdown right now with someone who has a higher level position than I do and is trying to strong arm me into adding certain features into a product that I manage. And these features have not been endorsed by customers who use our products. So my strategy normally is to build products and features that our customers desire and will actually use. So doing all of that market research, really understanding the customer, really understanding what problems we can try to solve for them. And that's my consistent goal. And I think it's probably the consistent goal of anyone who is creating products, creating services, is what can we do to take that pain away from our customers? But there always are some people that may have different ideas or see a shiny object or think that adding in some current features that are maybe popular in the marketplace right now will solve those problems. And it's not always the case sometimes. So in my current corporate role, most days are like this never-ending ping pong match. I could be angry and respond emotionally, but I know deep down it is not in my best interest to do that. Or I can strategically manage my way through it. So that is the choice that I make. Does this sound familiar? I'm sure you have your own stories to share. The workplace is full of conflict, no matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you're working for, a small company, big corporate, there's conflict everywhere. I think you would agree. But here's a twist though. Conflict is not necessarily the villain, believe it or not. It's the secret weapon that you can have. So by the end of this video, you will have 3 key strategies to transform conflict into empowerment. And the science backs this up as well. So why is conflict a superpower? According to the Harvard Business Review, companies that embrace constructive conflict see a 25% increase in team performance compared to those that avoid it. So there's also a study by CPP Incorporated. They found that 85% of employees experience conflict, but when handled correctly, it can boost innovation, collaboration, and decision making. So simply put, and managed well, conflict fuels growth. So think about it. The Wright brothers didn't invent an airplane by nodding in agreement and saying this is the best thing to do, right? They debated it fiercely. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they clashed over Apple's direction. The key isn't avoiding conflict, it's channeling it into something productive. So conflict is like fire. It can be destructive if uncontrolled, right? But powerful if harnessed properly. The best leaders don't eliminate conflict, but they can use it to sharpen their ideas, to build stronger teams, and to drive breakthroughs. A report from the American Management Association found that organizations with structured conflict resolution, and if they do some training on it, they've reported a 50% reduction in unresolved disputes. So that could lead to more productive and engaging employees. How about that, right? So sometimes the conflict that we feel is maybe an open door to look further into some situations. So instead of getting angry, getting mad, opening the mind, right? So let's flip the script from friction to fuel. So how do you transform conflict into empowerment? It starts with shifting your mindset. Conflict isn't about proving someone wrong, although we all want to be right. I'm right there with you. Sometimes I am fighting for what I feel is right. But conflict isn't about proving that other person that they're wrong or their idea isn't good. It's about uncovering better solutions. So here are 3 quick shifts that you can make today to take yourself from being really angry and having all that friction to bringing some fuel and innovation. So from taking things from attack to inquiry, instead of saying that won't work, try saying something to that other person like, tell me more about why you think this is the best approach. Studies show that reframing a conflict with curiosity, it can help with confrontation by reducing emotional defensiveness. And that came from Harvard Medical School. But when we replace these assumptions with questions, we uncover a deeper insight and we might find some common ground a little bit faster. And bringing down the level of the stress and the noise and that emotional feeling, that really is not good for us either, because it really takes away from us being open-minded and listening. And sometimes you're just snapping out, or it's almost like an out-of-body experience, isn't it? Sometimes when you're really mad, you're just reacting and you can't even remember what you're saying. A second tip is take from reaction to response. Pause before you react. Neuroscience says that just taking 6 small seconds before responding allows your brain, its rational center, to engage, making your responses more constructive. So that came from Daniel Goleman of Emotional Intelligence. And emotional hijacking, it could lead to impulsive decisions and escalated tensions. I know that we've all been there. I can guarantee it. I've been there more times than I like to admit. But when you take a moment of reflection, it fosters solutions instead of these standoff situations. So a survey from the International Institute for Conflict Prevention found that leaders who practice response over reaction, they experience 35% higher team trust and cooperation. So as a leader, if we're asking better questions to foster curiosity, to be more inclusive, to not spike our own emotional centers, that all downstream helps our team. It helps with trust and it helps with cooperation, because they look at you as a leader that has your stuff together, that you can handle conflict and stress and you can help them, because a lot of the time they're suffering from it too. But when they see you reacting and blowing up in front of people, it makes them a little nervous inside, that how will they help me when I really need, that person to go to deal with someone maybe at a higher level. The third tip is taking things from standoff to synergy. Turn the me version into us version of the problem. Because sometimes I think we take situations and we make them all about ourselves, and we need to step out of that a bit and look at the situation holistically. Companies that prioritize a collaborative conflict resolution, they see 67% improvement in employment engagement. So when both sides feel heard, the outcome is always stronger, right? A powerful technique for this is yes and, or instead of yes but. Sometimes we'll listen to someone and we're like, yeah, we understand you, but it's like, no, let's try to understand what they're trying to say. So that could be a method that's widely used in improv or corporate negotiations to keep conversations open and solutions evolving. So think about conversations that you have in your comfort zone with your friends. How do you ask questions to learn more? Because they're not people that you want to regularly insult if you feel like, maybe they're not thinking the same way that you are. So try to use some of those tactics. And there's a real cost to avoiding conflict. I've seen that through the years in working in corporate structure. I've seen that through just maturing, being a young adult and maturing into, someone that has more experience. And I'm sure that many of you that are more in a leadership role or have been around the block quite a while, you could say so yourself. If conflict can be so beneficial, then why do so many people avoid it? And most of it is because of fear. Studies show that up to 60% of employees, they try to sidestep these workplace conflicts rather than addressing the issue head on. And the result is missed opportunities, unresolved tensions, and a decline in collaboration. And it also, for many of us, is something that we're carrying in the back of our head all the time that's causing stress and anxiety and just that ill feeling towards someone. And oftentimes I've found this through the years is if there's a situation, attack it, diffuse it, and get it off your plate because it's only roaming in your mind. So according to a report by the Workforce Institute, unresolved workplace conflicts cost U.S. businesses an estimated $359 billion with the B annually in lost productivity and absenteeism. So people take off time, they don't feel well. It also affects our health when we're not in the right frame of mind, right? So that's an expensive fear to confrontation, right? So conflict, it can transform you in many different ways if we handle it the right way. So after applying many of these shifts that I have in this situation and many, I really started approaching clashes with really anyone differently. Instead of steamrolling and getting all angry inside, and I just started to ask more questions. I pause before I respond, and I try to frame their arguments as collaborative problem-solving steps. And the result is their approaches, even coming to me about things for working together, have become a lot more sharper, a lot more driven in the right direction, a lot calmer. And over time, you'll find that people that are high conflict, you can't change them sometimes. Sometimes they're always coming at you. But if you approach them a little bit differently, sometimes you could train them to approach you a little bit differently, especially when you stick up for yourself and not in a negative and highly emotional way, but you ask good questions. You try to create, a bridge between where you're thinking and where they're thinking. And some things that feel like an endless battle, they can become essential ingredients to your shared success. So having an open mind is often a good thing, because even when we're dealing with high conflict people, sometimes we get into our own minds, into our own selves, and we need to open that up a little bit. So conflict isn't here to drain you. It's here to refine you. So by shifting your mindset, embracing the tension that comes with it, which sucks, I have to say, and channeling it toward being more innovative, you're not just resolving disagreements, you're unlocking breakthroughs. So the next time conflict knocks on your door, don't run. Open the door, lean into the discomfort, listen deeply, and reframe the conversation. It's about really the steps that come together is about making us calm, present, listening, and thoughtful of how we make our responses so we can get what we really need and want, so that we're not getting bullied by someone and we're using the right language and we're not blowing up and making ourselves look like fools, right? So your next big idea or your next career leap or your next team's major success might just be waiting on the other side of a really tough conversation. So go ahead, transform your conflicts into your biggest opportunities. What types of conflict have you seen in the workplace? How have you resolved it? Or how do you work with it on a regular basis? Because I feel like we have conflict every day in our lives. Let me know in the comments. Would love to hear from you. And if you found this content valuable, please consider sharing. Please consider subscribing. And we'll see you all in the next video.